All over Europe, tougher security checks are causing huge queues for travellers. Most affected major tourist airports are in Spain, France, Belgium and the Netherlands. Among the people who've been stuck in them, Carlos Lopez, trapped in Palma. He tweeted that he was very annoyed at his 2-hour delay, with similar hold-ups affecting as many as 23 million passengers. James Davis had been waiting 20 minutes in Nice airport with just 35 minutes until his plane took off. Others complaining they have actually missed their flights. And Franco, in a crammed Schiphol airport in Amsterdam, was shocked to see there were just 4 passport counters to check all those waiting. People there were reportedly queuing for more than 4 hours.
People, guys, always look for somebody to blame. Though surprisingly, Charlotte, we've got a fair bit of support from people who are saying, look, you know, the security has to come first.
They understand that the checks have to take place.
They understand the checks aren't going away. Sean, get there earlier? What do you suggest?
I definitely, Eamon. I mean, we have, as you just are saying there, we have known people who actually missed their flights. Not too many, but that 1 or 2 is bad enough, isn't it, really? So you do need to get to the airport earlier. Now, this will only apply...
Where do you stand on that, mate? Because people get very angry about that and they say, look, it's not me, it's your queues that have kept me from missing my flight.
Well, I think we've known about this for a while. In fact, the new...
So why haven't you been telling people then? Because a lot of passengers are saying they haven't known about it.
Well, we have, because our members are making sure that people get to the airports in plenty of time. So I haven't heard from any tour operator saying that any of their customers have missed flights. The people who did were people who are travelling independently with directly scheduled airlines. Now, I think the most thing about this, the most important thing to remember, is that it's very important that the airlines have sufficient resources in place. But what's the most annoying thing when you see a long queue is when you see another booth with nobody manning it. So I think that's important. On that.
So have you got any weight then to be able to say to the airports, actually, this isn't good enough? Why have you not got enough staff and to be able to cope with the situation?
Well, of course, they will listen to tour operators. We bring millions of holidaymakers into countries around Europe every year, and also the airlines.
But they're not listening to you, though, because a lot of people are saying...
But the airlines are putting a lot of pressure on as well. That's why we're talking today, because they put out a press release yesterday, pointing the finger at various airports, pretty much saying you haven't done a good enough job here. So I think almost certainly airports have put in extra resources, but maybe some could do a better job.
Tom, looking ahead to the future, technology. You know, technology, that swiping your passport and that chip on it, if only it worked.
Well, the interesting thing about that is it does work. It's just that there aren't really enough of these e-passport gates to go around.
Well, if it works, people can't use it because you get people and it just goes that big red X on it, and so people are putting it in the wrong way. The explanation isn't good enough. Is it just people? It's not the technology? Why?
I think it's progressive. You know, putting in these gates will undoubtedly have helped in these situations where we've seen these queues.
But it still goes down to staffing. I was at Heathrow the other day trying to go through an electronic gate. Half of them were sectioned off, and they said there aren't enough staff to monitor all of them because they need a certain ratio of staff to gate. So it still boils down to manpower at the end of the day.
Well, it's interesting we're seeing this at the start of August, a real sort of busy crunch time for holidaymakers across Europe at the moment. These checks have been introduced progressively since around April. If you have a look on some airline websites, their warnings actually go back to then, and they're going to continue to be progressively introduced till October.
So why have they been so unprepared then, if they've been brought in, you know, a few months ago?
It looks like it's a combination of factors when you're seeing these very big queues. It's not just these new checks. It may be some industrial action. It may be lots of planes arriving at once due to delays caused by other things that have been causing these very, very long ones. In other cases, it's just a slightly longer experience. I flew through Dusseldorf in Germany yesterday, and it took about twice as long as it normally did, but that's twice as long as 1 or 2 minutes, so it's quite straightforward. It is a case of getting there as early as you can, being prepared for some delay, making sure you've got water and food, particularly for travelling with kids or elderly people.
Sean, what's it like coming back the other way? You should be OK coming in. This is the Schengen area, a big block of continental European countries, but coming into Britain and Ireland...
No change. In fact, I mean, obviously you will get longer queues at this time of year simply because of the summer months. I mean, July and August are very, very busy, and also sometimes it's the luck of the draw. If your flight is the only one coming in at the time when you're arriving, then obviously there'll be less people going through passport control. If you get 4 or 5 coming in at the same time, then there'll be longer queues. I think the main thing to bear in mind, though, is that your passports, when you're actually in Europe, will be checked on arrival and on departure.
Yes,
and the departure is the issue, really.
The departure is the issue. So say the queue is so long, you know, it results in you missing your flight. Where do folks stand on that?
Well, I think airlines will do their best to be flexible, but they can, I'll be honest with you, just say, well, look, we've already warned you, you need to get to the airport early, because on their websites they will be saying this.
When it's through a tour operator, though, if they haven't got you to the airport
but I'm saying with tour, I haven't heard anybody who's been on a package holiday has missed their flights. But if you think about it, tour operators will be taking people to the airports in the coaches. They'll bring them down in plenty of time. It's issues, more of an issue of people who've made their own arrangements, booked directly with the airline, haven't noticed that they need extra time. They're the ones who've missed their flights. But I don't think there've been too many. I mean, as I said earlier, 1 or 2 is enough, but not that many. But it is something you really need to bear in mind, particularly at this time of year when the airports are going to be very busy already. And if some of them haven't put the extra resources in place, yeah, it will lead to longer queues.
Tom, I think it's a bit of an advert for a staycation, really, isn't it?
I was in the Forest of Dean last week and didn't have any of these stresses at all, but I did have a little bit of rain.
Well, rain, that's the only thing.
Okay.
There's always a downside,
guys,
isn't
thanks
there?
for your advice. Appreciate it.